ጤና ይስጥልኝ ሰላም ለሁላችሁ. Hello everyone. The topic of my equity talk is my journey to becoming a senior fellow. I've been sort of using it as a mantra this past few days as I've been practicing my talks, because it's been a year of inspiring, thought-provoking journey with you all. And I just want to take this moment and tell you about who I was before this talk, who I was before this fellowship, and who I am now because of it. And my uninspired beginnings starts as a average high schooler, uh, slightly average student, above average student, and with average ambitions. And I come from Ethiopia, so back home, either you have to be a doctor, an engineer, or you're a failure to your family. So I had to choose the lesser of those evils, and I chose medicine. And so I luckily had the scores to make it to one of the most prestigious universities in Addis. I started my journey to becoming a medical doctor. And so at first it was such a bland 2 years, because it's such an uneventful cycle of studying, sleeping, taking a test, studying, sleeping, taking a test, repeating that. But there was a turning point in my life where there was this defining tragedy in my life that happened that really changed me, which was someone close to me was admitted to the ICU. This person raised me my whole life. I consider my second mom. Everyone considered me second mom. And I was basically the last person to see her. And that picture is still in my head. Her weak hands holding on to mine. Her face looking up at me as the doctor called her death. And I think that was when reality struck, and one of the naive, childish layer was shed. You might ask me why this was important, but I can explain clearly that in her final moments, and later I realized that her death was completely preventable, or at least we could have added so many years to her life. One of the reasons for why that happened was because of the treatment she had from her physicians, the careless way they handled her, the misdiagnosis over the years, the mistreatment over the years, and in equal parts, of course, was the government hospitals she was attended at, and the quality of care she was given, the untimely care she was given. And at last, it was because of her diagnosis. She was HIV positive, which I later found out after she died. And she didn't share this with almost anyone because of, obviously, the stigma that the society entailed to HIV. And I think that played a huge role in her not seeking the treatment she needed and in her untimely death. And I felt betrayed that I didn't know that. So it really impacted my choice. I've already started this path to medicine, to become a doctor. So I either had to be the same physicians that led her toward the path to death, or I can become more empathetic. I can become more learned. I can lead by example. So I think that was the first turning point for me in my life, when I started to believe that the professionals and the institute where these professionals practiced this sacred profession were the problem. So I started this journey of being an advocate, even as a student. I progressively became more active, became more involved in the student associations. I voiced my concerns. I was a staunch advocate of this human-centered approach. And, I started promoting health education, advocating for various materials to be used for my junior students and for the patients as well. So this was a small setup. This was just one hospital, but I tried my best. And my earlier passions using digital tools and the digital environment actually helped me. And I used this platform to reach, more people than I would ever have been able to reach. And this was a lucky break for me. My work was visible enough so that I could have the opportunity to join the Ministry of Health. And this was a chance I coveted, so I volunteered at first at the ministry. And the system I naively criticized, I found myself at the core of it. It was an opportunity. I had the opportunity to work with leaders, ministers, state ministers, directors. I learned a lot from them. And I saw even here that there were disruptors, that there were people trying to change the system, pushing against the system, and they actually existed. That was a surprise. So this was another turning point where my passion for leadership started to come out, started to become emboldened. And I had this vague notion of wanting to be a leader. I had no idea how to become a leader. So I became a student again. And I was fortunate enough to be surrounded by people who cherished youth as leaders. So this was my opportunity to learn, and learn I did. And this was right around the moment when COVID came by. And for me, it was a blessing in disguise because I had the opportunity to work and join the National Emergency Response, which laid bare the system as a whole from the ground up to the top. And I saw how inept leaders destroyed the change that even motivated change makers made. So this cascading change never happened because of a few bad apples. And the confusion grew that everyone around me took this as a status quo and conformed to this norm of working the system, not trying to work the system, but giving up and working through the status quo. So it was a slippery slope for me because I went through the status quo myself, and I started slowly but surely. I got into the comfort zone, and this was when I stumbled into a project called Atlantic Fellows for Health Equity, and it was a nice concept. It was about bringing leaders around the world who actually had an impact on health equity, leaders who made change, who want to make change, who have future plans to be future leaders. And I felt like if I had the opportunity to be part of them, I would have something to take back home. So I applied, and lo and behold, I became the 2024 cohort. Thanks for that. And this was huge for me because I met all of you, and you galvanized my cohort, the things you've accomplished, the things you want to accomplish, the energy you bring was amazing. So I was really inspired by you guys to come up with a project that intersected with my passions and with my experience. And in hindsight, I knew it was a very ambitious project, but I felt like I had an army backing me up, so I took that project home. I took that back to that negativity though, where pushing for change was pretty difficult, And instead of merits winning out, simple ideologies were being battled out, and change were not being made. So I slowly tried to push back, but slowly but surely, conformity won out, and I went back to the comfort zone. And so change was frowned upon, so I slinked back into the shadows. I did not give up though. Even though success cannot be seen, success was not on the horizon, I still did not give up. And that paid off during our media convening, where we went to this small city, Rwanda, where communities came together with amazing vision and bring about change from the ground up, from the grassroots, all the way to the top. And that was really inspiring. But what really surprised me was the community of Ethiopian health leaders that I met there that were actually making huge strides that they would have never done back home. And what struck a chord with me was I was almost familiar with all of these people. They were my professors, they were my supervisors back home, they were my subordinates, and they made change here while they couldn't back home. And that was very confusing about why they wouldn't do this back home and why they couldn't bring this mentality back home. And during this confusion, my fellows came to the rescue. Because during my interaction with all of you, I saw the similarities I had with you. I saw how you spoke truth to power, how you fought with authority, and how you didn't give up, and how your context applied to mine. And how to tackle these challenges. There has to be slow but sustainable progress, but progress was important. And as I was humbled in realizing that individual accomplishment, my accomplishment, was not important, but that the community I was building to make that change, to sustain that change, was the most important thing. So I took this lesson from all of you, went back home, and I was really happy that during only 1 month, I made huge progress that I would have not made in a year. That's all thanks to you. So the final lesson I took from all you guys was that I built a community around you, and I took that to my own community. But the consistency mattered. That the vision I shared was the note that tied all that. And from the Maori people, something that resounded with me was the concept of rhythm, the rhythm with the environment, and the rhythm with the community. And that's how you make change, and that's how you solidify change. And I'm so glad to tell you all that because of you, because of this fellowship, I found my rhythm back home. I found my rhythm within my colleagues. And that kid who inspired to become a leader is now surely is on the path to becoming the leader he wants. And I think that's because of it's because of all of you. And I'm really glad that I'm part of you fellows, part of this community. And I want to thank you all.